Oh, okay, good.
Okay, you're ready to go.
I know.
Oh, no, I'm not. I heard that. Thank God for certain women who tell it like it is.
Hi there.
Thank God for Laura Castle.
Hi,
Hi,
Abby.
everybody.
Hi.
Okay, I'm going to start. Hold on. Okay, hi everyone.
Hi,
Susan,
hi.
I'm sorry you have a cold and can't make it. Hi, Deborah. Todd, hello. Who do we have? Nadine and Linda. Len, Adrian, I heard you're stuck in Toronto. Judy, my mother-in-law, Leslie. Hi, everybody. Okay, all right, we're gonna get started. I think I'm gonna start to cry. I might need a tissue. I was gonna say, where the heck were you? Okay. I was gonna be very judgmental, but thank God you walked in. Okay. All right. We're gonna get started. Don't ask me. Okay. All right, we're gonna get right down to business because because it's true. People are on a clock. It's not like the amorphous that there is no time. Like the space that I'm living in, I don't even know what day it is. Right. Well, I know it's Monday because I'm here. Right. I just want to say, it is incredible to see you all. Even Roz, who I just met. Not even Roz, who I just met her 2 seconds. It is incredible. I miss this community so much. I really do. I'm sorry.
Good. You're very missed.
I know.
Tell me more. I just want to say that I will learn that.
Oh, I love Hannah, you don't need me to be proud of Israel. You have your own fire. You've got your own fire in your belly. You know, I want to say thank you to people like Hannah and others, but just Hannah's very she's very open. Just thank God for warriors for Israel, because we need, no, I don't know what Israel needs at this point. They're pretty self-sufficient. but to see Americans with such, I mean, you're Israeli, but to see Americans with such rock solid clarity about Israel is really powerful. Part of me just wanted to schmooze, but we're going to learn Torah. I just spent the week with Susie. It was so incredible. And, okay, so I don't have anything going on after class. So anyone who wants to, so we'll get right to learn Torah. And then anyone who wants to hang out, I'm going to be here. So anyone who's available. Okay. I'm a little, it's funny to look around here and, okay. Oh, I gotta get the Mishnah from this sitter. 1 second. Where is it? Okay, talk amongst yourselves. I'm just looking for Pirkei Avot in here. No, I don't have a sheet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for I really am sorry for not being as organized as I normally am. Okay, I found it. Okay, we are on the very last Mishnah of the 2nd chapter. So we have Rabbi Tarfon. And if you remember, does anybody remember, I didn't have class last week, but remember the last Mishnah that we talked about? I won't be offended if you don't. Okay, so this is the last, the 21st Mishnah of the second parak, the 2nd chapter of Pirkei Avot. So these are the words of Rabbi Tarfon. Rabbi Tarfon lived in the city of Lod during a most terrible time in Jewish history, during the destruction of the temple, the second temple, where there was a tremendous amount of hatred amongst Jews, a lot of infighting amongst Jews, a lot of disunity amongst Jews. And this was the stage of Jewish history where they were moving from a religion, a Judaism based on the land of Israel, based on the temple standing, to a Judaism of exile, a Judaism that would ultimately amount to over 2,000 years of being exiled from the land of Israel with untold suffering. Of course, yesterday we commemorated Tisha B'Av, and there's a lot to say about Tisha B'Av. We don't have time to talk about it now, so we won't talk about it now. But the most important thing to do on Tisha B'Av, even today, is to step out of yourself a little bit and just think about what people are experiencing and the pain that people are experiencing, and what a uniquely Jewish spin on the pain that the Jews have experienced collectively in the past, but also are experiencing right now in the present, all over the world. Dana and I just had 5-minute coffee at Dunkin' Donuts and just talked about the tremendous difficulty of raising children today in this world. But I think that so just one thing to say about Tisha B'Av is that we call it a moed, we call it a festival, because even though there is a tremendous imperative, liot b'simcha tamid, to be in a state of joy all the time, which is something to discuss. We're going to talk about that another time, tomorrow night, I think, for what it means to experience a world that's filled with negativity and to choose life, to choose happiness. But on Tisha B'Av, we actually call it a festival because it's the one day we're meant to unleash unbridled sorrow, like just let it all out, to step outside of our egos and our own personal experience and feel the pain of other people. And the reason it's called a festival is because tradition tells us, our Talmud tells us, that on the day of Tisha B'Av, the day of national calamity and national tragedy, the Messianic era kicks in. The Mashiach is born, either already has been or will be born on Tisha B'Av, meaning to say that buried in trauma and tragedy are the seeds of redemption, which is so Jewish. And that the focus on Tisha B'Av is to allow yourself to step out of yourself and your self-concern and feel the tremendous pain of other people. But the redemption doesn't end there. The redemption lies in caring about people. And I think for those of you who watched some of the videos, I think you did, right? Watch some of the videos. The antidote to trauma and tragedy is to step outside of your own self-concern and truly care about people. I mean, caring about people seems so obvious, but we live in a world where people look over you and people are busy and people are half with you and people forget your name and people, there's so much, did you cave into peer pressure? I told your husband to pressure you. Right. I know, a little bit. It's debatable whether we have free will, but that's another subject. We do have free will. Okay, so that's Tisha B'Av, that just like we experience pain, but we call it a festival because ultimately the seeds of redemption are buried in the darkness. So too we feel the grief, but we know that like the antidote or the redemptive possibility for grief is more empathy and more love and more connection and more compassion. And again, Dana and I were just talking about a struggle that someone was having and what they came to understand through it. That's the redemptive core of trauma and tragedy, is the ability to know something that you would not have known had you not gone through it, and to act from that clarity that you now have because you've gone through it. And that's kind of a message of Tisha B'Av. But today I want to move on to our last Mishnah of the second chapter. I'll read it in Hebrew. Hu haya omer. He used to say, who's he? Rabbi Tarfon. Lo alecha. Oh, I can do it. Okay, fine. Okay. If you have the Mishnah, go to 21 of the second chapter. Hu haya omer. Rabbi Tarfon, he used to say. This is very famous, by the way. There are certain Mishnayot that are famous, that they get quoted even in non-Jewish settings, and this is one of them. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. You are not required to finish the job. You are not required to complete the task. Below ata ben chorin lahibatel mimena. Yet you are never not free to withdraw from it. We're gonna stop there. We can talk about the rest of the Mishnah, hopefully, if we have time. But the bulk of the class is going to be on this topic. You are not required to finish the job. You don't have to save the world. You don't have to reach a specific goal, but you are never, ever free or exempted from giving it your greatest shot. And that just sounds kind of like it could be on a Lululemon bag a little bit. Like, it's like, okay, like that's so cute. I can picture it in red and white, but it's really, really so deep. And I just took some notes because I don't have a sheet, but it is it's such a beautiful Jewish concept. It sounds a little bit like Zen, like just know you're kind of like dust in the wind, and like it's all going to be okay, and ride the wave because you have no control. This is, by the way, does anyone struggle with control here? If you're a control freak, this is a great Mishnah for you. This is not my fish to fry. I'm not a control freak. I have other things. But for control freaks, this was tailor-made for you. Right. So it sounds Zen, like you don't, just ride the wave a little bit, but it's really not. It's actually, I don't know if it's uniquely Jewish, but it's so very Jewish, which is, and this is the main point of the Mishnah. There's two departments in life, right? There's Department A and there's Department B. Does anyone know what I'm going to say? Does anyone know where I'm going?
Yes.
Who are
Effort and results.
Oh, teacher's pet. Right? Okay, so effort and results. Go on. Effort and results. What does it mean? There's two categories.
You're in charge of effort. Got it.
You've got to integrate this. Like it's so important that you don't just hear it and then leave here and be like, what was that again? Like, it is the most life-changing, critical, powerful piece of knowledge, and I see it all the time. You literally can cut the cord on your controlling need for specific outcomes. You can say goodbye to attaching your emotions and thus feeling tremendous anxiety, because this is one of the great roots. Like, if anxiety were a tree, this is one of the deep, deep roots. If it doesn't turn out like this, I'm freaking out. Like, I'm so attached. Oh, you're laughing. Why is it fun? I'm just kidding.
No,
Yeah,
because
so, right.
So that's not the outcome.
Literally. Okay, we'll do like, how do you know which is which? How do you know which is which? But I'll quote the Chavetz Chaim here because I took some notes. This is the Chavetz Chaim, the great Chavetz Chaim who died before World War II, who revolutionized the world. And the reason I'm making such a big deal about who said this quote is that probably nobody worked harder than the Chavetz Chaim. And this is what I want to say. It's not about, you are not Ben Chorin, you are not free. I want to make sure you are not Ben Chorin lehibatel mimena. You are not free to stop working so hard. Nobody worked harder than the Chavetz Chaim. Literally, nobody worked harder for the Jewish people, for the world. He amongst many other things, he brought a universal awareness of the power of speech. To this day, if you were here yesterday for Tisha B'Av, there was a video. It was the Chafetz Chaim Heritage Foundation video. It's like, we have people who did great things in this world, and we're still living through what they brought to the world. The Chafetz Chaim, he radically changed the world and brought awareness that of the power of what I say, that I affect worlds, I destroy worlds, and I build worlds with the power of my tongue, that life and death lies in the power of my tongue. And even though I have so much drive to I get close to you through agonizing over you. It's like, it's a primal drive to get close to people through intensely discussing somebody else. We wrestle with Lashon Hara in the deepest of ways. I was going to say especially women, especially Jewish women, but that's not really fair. It's so deep, and he brought us the awareness of how serious it is and what it means to watch our tongue. So who's saying this? Stephen's point: results and effort. We are totally in charge of the effort department. God is totally in charge of the results department. If you can take that from here to here, you can live a life of peace of mind while working extremely, extremely hard for bringing good to the world. You are not exempt from the job, but clarity that if it works out is not your department. It's the craziest thing. It's like you can be all in and yet absolutely outside of, all in the results department, and then truly be outside of what materializes. This is true for if you have children, it's true for what happens with your children, it's true for what happens with your job, your health, your everything. All you can do is what you can do, and you are literally, you have no control over the results. It's the most unbelievable way to live. Who said it? The Chafetz Chaim. Nobody worked harder. Nobody gave up less. Nobody let the natural, I certainly have this. I don't have control, but I certainly have this. The sort of like depressive, like whatever, I can't do anything about it. Like, whoa. Nobody, I don't know what he wrestled with, but he wrestled with every negative emotion, and he overcame himself, and he was a warrior every moment of his day until the day he died. And he said, it is not for you to achieve. Do you hear that? Like, achieve. Think about how big achievement is here in this society, but even everywhere. Achievement is massive. Look, we just, believe it or not, Tisha B'Av yesterday, over 600 rockets flew from Gaza into Israel. 97 of them were totally successfully intercepted because of the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome, that is a hasagat gedola. That is the greatest achievement. And now they're building the Iron Laser, whatever that means. Hi, Lord. Mwah. Okay, so that is such an achievement. It is an achievement of epic proportions. And yet, the Chafetz Chaim tells us, it's not for you to achieve, but to act. Achievement is the province of the Almighty. So what Rabbi Tarfon and and the Chafetz Chaim are telling us is there are truly two departments. And hold your thought, because I always leave time, and so remember, don't let it slip your mind. We have to be rock solid clear of which department is ours. And it is not, and this is where I think it does veer from more Eastern practice, maybe, it is not an invitation to desist. It is not an invitation to zen out and allow forces to be. It is rock solid clarity of where to put your psychic energy. And just as importantly, it's rock solid clarity where not to. So the anxiety we feel over when we want something and we're getting the opposite, or it's not happening. We want a child to thrive and we're watching them fall. We want somebody to act this way and they're acting the opposite. We want to be healthy and we're feeling the opposite. I am not diminishing like the reality of all of this. This is heavy duty stuff. But the more we can internalize, I am here to do my best. I am here to do my best. Now, to Leslie's point, how much is best? When does it slip into workaholism? When does it slip into, and so we should discuss this. But whatever the outcome is Hashem's department. I can, as Rebbetzin Fegi Tversky says, let go and let God. Let go and let God does not mean I surrender. I'm like zenning out, like let go and let God. That's not what it means. It means I am totally aware that I'm the CEO of my department. And I'm totally aware that you are the CEO of your department. And if I had, let's say, made a ton of phone calls for today's class and called all of you and worked really hard to get everybody here, and one person showed up, then would it be disappointing? Yes, you feel your emotions, you have your feelings, you don't go straight to an aphorism, right? You feel the disappointment, you feel I had an expectation of something and something else happened, and I allow myself to feel through it. I don't negate the disappointment I feel or whatever it is, but at the same time, lo alecha hamalacha ligmor. It's not my department. How many people showed up today? It's not my department. So so I'm just looking at my notes here. It's the thing about Pirkei Avos and really the thing about Pirkei Avos is so amazing is none of the advice it's not esoteric, it's not Kabbalistic, it's almost it's like deceptively simple. It's deceptively simple, right? It's true. So is the Lululemon bag, by the way. I have to say, I love that bag because it's all so deep, but it's so simple, right? I don't really like what they're doing, but I really love their bags. But I do. I love their bags because there's so much wisdom on those bags. But it's not a Lululemon bag, and that it really is important to distinguish like awesome wisdom that's out there, and it's very important. And every responsible book on Pirkei Avos, like every book of Pirkei Avos, will have vignettes at the back of who Haya Omer, he used to say, who was he? Who were they? When did they live? What were they going through? What adversity were they experiencing? Like tomorrow tonight, sorry, what is it? Women, wine. I should know this because I have a lot of wisdom about wine. So, and I'm a woman, so I got this one. But yeah, so why are there vignettes? It's not the case for every book. The reason there are vignettes about who these people were is because they lived in unbelievably difficult times and they had unbelievable adversity. And one of the things I'm going to talk about tonight is what's called the positivity bias. It's a book that changed my life, a book with Lubavitcher Rebbe, who weaned him. It's natural. It's in our neural pathways. It's very normal to negativity sticks. It's got like that heavy duty adhesive to it, which is why was it with you, Susie? Someone was talking about like an embarrassing incident they had when they were children. Was it up? I can't remember what it was, but we were marveling at how negativity sticks. And we're wired to experience, we go through a lot of life, like experiencing things with like a almost like either like like really unhappy or like a zoned out sort of lack of happiness. Like that's how we experience a lot of the world. And what the Lubavitcher Rebbe taught us is just like if you were a right-handed and you lost your right hand and you needed to learn with writing with the left, you have to retrain your brain to shift toward a positivity bias. But who was the Lubavitcher Rebbe? The reason I'm saying this is because he lived through World War I. He lost his whole family in World War II. He was chased by Cossacks in Europe. He was infertile. He and his wife couldn't have children. He lived through unspeakable adversity, and he bore the pain of every single Jew in the world, whether they came to him or he felt it. He had unspeakable adversity, yet he trained himself to insist on seeing the redemptive core, the redemptive possibilities of every dark place. And that was the sages. The sages of Pirkei Avot lived through unspeakable horrors. They really did. And yet these are the truths that they've gleaned. So he's telling us, you're on the cusp of exile. We've talked about this a lot. Because they surely had some degree of prophetic ability. You are on the cusp of 2,000 years of being thrown like chattel and every possible adversity. The Jews have experienced every possible adversity, culminating at its apex, at its zenith with the Holocaust, but so much that preceded it. What do you need to know? Like you will have no power, you will always be under the thumb of a host culture that ultimately might profess to want you, but ultimately will spit you out. They will ultimately spit you out without exception. There is no host culture that you will not be comfortable for a while, but ultimately will spit you out, because that is the nature of exile. What do you need to know? What do you need to know? Lo alecha hamalacha ligmor. You've got so much to do in this world. This world is filled with evil. This world is filled with pain. There is so much you need to do, yet you never have to worry about finishing the job. You simply have to act. We don't live in a world of achievement, right? Don't tell the SAT, Kelly. We don't, or the ACT. We don't live in a world of achievement. That is not our department. It's literally not our department. How you turn out. Are you going to be okay? Is this going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? Is the world going to be okay? Are we falling? Are we dying? Are we imploding? Are we this? Are we that? Sometimes it looks like the world's going backwards, like right now, like spinning into oblivion. And yet, Hashem's got a plan for the world. Like, it's unbelievable that Israel, in all of its might and all of its strength, that even in my neighborhood, in remote, people were sealing their bomb shelters and putting sleeping bags and pillows and getting ready for the fact that on Shabbat, they might need to go into the bomb shelter. In remote. I mean, I walk around remote a heck of a lot safer feeling than Chicago, like so safe. And yet everyone was sealing up their rooms, because sometimes it looks like really, we're still doing this? We're still sealing our rooms? Like, we're still doing this? We're still in this? Like, seriously? But the truth is that Hashem's clock is not ours. We still have a vending machine attitude, which is like, if I put in $1.25, I get a Sprite. Like, if I do good, I'll see the results. If I do good, I'll see the results. So what this mission is also telling us is patience, because God's time clock is not yours. It's not mine. It's not ours. And that's why the Torah tells us, cast your bread upon the waters, right? You just put out right actions. Martin Buber called them right actions, right? You put out right actions. You do the right thing. And you recognize that the world is moving at the pace that it's meant to move, even when it feels that it's deteriorating or retreating into evil or breakdown or whatever it is, that it is actually moving forward. How do you move it forward? With good actions. Literally with good actions. You smile at someone, you do a mitzvah, you light the candles, you do anything, you refrain from speaking something that hurts somebody, you smile at the cashier at Target. It doesn't matter. You put good into the world. You are moving the world forward, even though it looks sometimes that it's going back, that we're retreating into something more primal. Maybe we are. It could be that America, or it could be that there's retreating into something that we don't like, but the world is moving forward because it's moving on Hashem's clock. It's Hashem's clock, and it doesn't work in a vending machine type of way where you put in $1.25. It used to be 25 cents, but now it's $1.25 and you get a Sprite. So it's not on our clock. You mean to say that it's Tisha B'Av, we're still sealing our room? Like, how can it be? And by the way, you want to know what's really amazing on Tisha B'Av? We read the book. Which book did we read? Anyone know? Lamentations, which in Hebrew is the word Echa. Echa, it starts with Echa. And Echa means, how is this possible? Like literally, like as we would say today, like seriously, God? Say what? That was the 70s, honey. Right? Say what, Willis? Right? So seriously, Echa, Lamentations, starts with the word Echa. Are you serious? Like, how? Echa means Ech in Hebrew means how. How can this be? How can we be struggling? Like Dana and I were talking about what it means to, how hard it is, even though children have, in our culture, have shelter and food and God willing, they have love, but the challenges that they have are so crazy, unbelievable challenges, like Echa. And what's very interesting is that the word Echa, some of you know this, but it's the same exact letters as Ayeka. Ayeka is when Adam and Chava sin, and out of a sense of shame, they hide from God, as if God's like, I don't have my glasses right now. Where are the contacts? Of course God knows where we're hiding, but the desire to hide from God, like, God, I'm so terrible, I'm so sinful, I'm so not worthy. The desire to hide from God is in all of us. It's called shame, really. And God says to Adam Harishon, the first man, Ayeka, where are you? Of course he can see where Adam is. He doesn't have eyes. He created eyes. He knows he knows at the innermost chamber of our thoughts. So what does it mean? Where are you? How did this happen? How did we get to this? How did you make this decision? How? So Susie was in class. I was learning this in class last week in Jerusalem, and Susie came to Torah class with me. We were like, totally loving it together. He's this wonderful rabbi, Rabbi Pfeffer from England, who's a rabbi in Jerusalem now in my neighborhood. He connected the word Echa and Ayeka, that God says, how did this happen? You had everything. Like, how did this happen to you? And we respond with a question, Echa, how is this our world? Like, how is this seriously our world? With all of this pain and all of this, and so Rabbi Tarfon says to us, Lo alecha hamalacha ligmor, my child, know that God is the arbiter of what happens. And he's moving the world forward, even though, because it's so painful, it feels like it's retreating. And all you have to do is move it forward with your own goodness, with caring about people, with loving people, with showing up for people, with smiling at people, with doing mitzvahs. you don't have to worry about the results department. I should really do like a class for like people who are struggling with controllers, right? But okay, so okay, what, let me just, okay, and I do want to just reiterate, and then I'm going to open it up to the group soon, which is, this is so different from our culture. Like if you work in if you get funded for a project, you have to show what's called incremental gains, which means your investment in me is worth it. Even now, it's showing gains, it's showing some rise, it's showing some increase. I have to show you the results. Show me the results. We live in a very results, or who won? Did she get in? What place? You know, what were her numbers? How much? How little? Did she, you know, what was he accepted? We are very results driven, but the results don't matter. They are truly not our department. So, okay, let me just see what else I wrote here. Oh, and I just want to say in terms of the world, I don't want to, I was going to go into the text, but we don't really have time, but this really is the story of Moshe and Aaron and the story of Mitzrayim, of Yetzias Mitzrayim, of leaving Egypt, because think about it. They were like, they were told, okay, petition Pharaoh for a 3-day release from servitude into the desert. Give us 3 days where you know we can do what we need to do, and so the first request from Pharaoh to Pharaoh for the release of the Jewish people, Pharaoh's immediate response is to make it harder for them. Ooh, clearly the Jews have too much time on their hands. They have too much time to think. I'm going to squeeze them even tighter. So Pharaoh squeezes the Jewish people even tighter. And the verse, I think it's in the 5th chapter of Exodus. I think it's the 5th chapter that Moses and Aaron go to God. They go to God and they say, literally, how you told us to do this. You told us to petition Pharaoh, and Pharaoh made it worse for the Jewish people. And now the Jewish people have even less drive to follow me. They're less receptive to following my leadership. And God essentially says to them, patience. I am the CEO of the results department. You just, I hate to say follow the script because we're not robots, but we do have a script. It's called the Torah. Within the framework of the Torah, we're meant to be individuated and individual and creative and our own person. But we have a script called the Torah, which we don't have to do it all. It's not all or nothing. It truly isn't. But I'm preaching to the choir here. As long as you're in the game and you're moving forward in Torah, like what's a mitzvah that I want to move forward in? Maybe it's just smiling more at people. It's just stay in the game. Stay in the game because the Torah is the script, God is the director, and you have a role, which sounds a little bit like, Truman Show a little bit, but it's not. It's like God is truly the director. We have a role. The Torah is our script. And as long as we are engaged in the Torah, and lo alecha hamalecha ligmor, which really does mean also, it's not all or nothing. It doesn't, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to get there, but you've got to be in the game. The Torah is the script. You have a role. I think that it's fair to say that shame is an emotion that on a non-physical level, when a person dies and they understand you had a script, why didn't you embrace it on your own time, in your own way? Like, I coulda, I woulda, I shoulda, right? I had a role. And that was really last week's, 2 weeks ago's Mishnah, which is you have a role and there's not a lot of time and you're lazy, meaning you're in denial, and God cares and God's going to push you toward it. That was last time. That was Rabbi Tarfon's mission for us last week. Get going because you've got a role, right? But here it's more global, it's less personal, and it's human beings have a role, but we are not the director. Okay, so I think I'm going to end with one story and then we're going to open it up. Okay, so the story that I want to tell is in Tractate Ta'anit, Tractate Tainus, and it's the story that you probably heard. It's a famous story about a carob tree. And there was an old man who was planting a carob tree. You know the story? And a young man comes upon him and says, foolish old man, a carob tree takes 70 years to blossom and be edible. And I hate to break it to you, but you're not going to be alive to see it. And the old man looks at the younger man and he says, I enjoyed carob because my ancestors planted carob trees for me. So I too must plant carob trees for people in front ahead of me. I have to, even when I can't see, it's a little bit different of a spin, but it's somewhat similar. Even when I can't see the results, I don't get the Sprite. Even when I put in $1.25 and I don't get the Sprite, I am not exempted from putting in the $1.25. And this reminds us also not to just focus on survival, like on just like our smaller needs, but to plant something that will have an enduring legacy, which every single one of us feels. And we also feel depressed when we feel we're not doing it. I mean, I talk to a lot of people and I talk to myself all the time. I put my Bluetooth in and I talk to myself and I say, what's the legacy? Like, why all the Netflix? Where's the legacy? Why are you so passive? What do you need to do? Are you like, what's stopping you? Why are you so numb? Like, everyone's wrestling with this stuff, you know? So, and this is great. Bluetooth is surely from God because you can have amazing conversations with yourself and nobody thinks you're crazy. But so also the carob story in Tractate Tainus tells us we've got to invest in things of tremendous importance, even when we don't get the Sprite. And we shouldn't even attach our work to getting the Sprite, because chances are if we're doing something of tremendous value, we might not see the Sprite. And that's why very quickly the verse ends this way. Okay, it ends this way. So he used to say, Lo alecha hamalacha ligmor v'lo ata ben chorin lehibatal mimena. Im lemadata Torah harbe. If you've studied much Torah, notnim lecha schar harbe. So we can say Torah, but we don't have time. But we can also look at Torah as all good things in this world. If you've done good things in this world, you will get great reward in this world, meaning you'll get the pleasure of doing the right thing, which is incredibly pleasure filled. You know that, you feel so good when you do something good. You will get reward. But it goes on. V'ne'eman hu ba'al malachtecha she'yishalem lecha schar pa'ulatecha. You will get great reward, and your employer, God, can be relied upon to pay you the wage for your labor, meaning you will get the reward. You'll get this metaphorical Sprite, right? But that's like a real commandment. But no, you gotta know. But no, shematein sachran shel tzadikim shel la'atid lavo. But be aware, but know that the true reward for your deeds will be given in the world to come, after you die. After you die, if you cast your bread upon the waters and you do something good for somebody else, they may thank you, they may not thank you. You might see something awesome come from it. You might not. You will get the reward in this world that it will actually feel on a neshama level good. You will feel good. Unlike when we do things that aren't good for us, it feels awesome at that moment, right? Think of all those hundreds and hundreds of hours on Netflix. It's like so cathartic at the moment, right? It's like, just bury me in my bed, right? It's like, just right now, But then, then you're just like, ugh, so much time, you know, because anytime we talk about this all the time, but anytime you do something that's not truly good for you, it feels great at that moment. And afterwards you feel, eh. But when you do something that's truly good, it might be at the moment, like it's a lot of work, it's not what you feel like doing, but you feel so much better afterwards. It's actually an equation. Do the wrong thing, awesome initially, blah after. Do the right thing, blah at first, awesome after. It's like deceptively simple, right? But what this is saying here is you will get reward because you do feel good when you do good. It's just the way of the world. But know that the real reward, the real reward will be in the world of Emet, and the word Olam HaEmes. The Olam HaEmet means the world, the Talmud calls this world Olam Hafuf, which literally means it's totally upside down. Good looks bad, bad looks good. It's all confusing. It makes no sense. You think you understand it, then you don't. But know that one day after you die, you'll be in the world of truth. And that's when everything will be clear. And you will actually see the peyrot. You'll see the fruits of what you did when you cast your bread upon the waters. And the more that you can understand, I literally don't have to worry about the results. I don't have to worry about the results. I can have a goal. I can say, I want to get to this goal. Goal setting is very I do coaching. A lot of coaching is goal setting. But while you're setting goals, you have to have a certain flexibility with, but at the end of the day, what ultimately comes is not in my control. But what is in my control is my effort. I am CEO of that department. And when I die and I enter the world of truth, where the world is right side up, and I understand everything, I will see the fruits of my labor. I will understand what materialized when I cast my bread upon the waters. Okay, and that's the last mission of the second chapter. So yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait, what do you want to do about guys? Well, okay, fine. Higher than that. Go higher.
Whatever.
Highland Park. Oh gosh, I remember.
And then for we're gonna have different purposes, one the real wants to dive into
And Jeremy.
And Rabbi Jeremy, yes. And Rabbi. And then for Yom Kippur, I'm sure some of you have heard already, but we have Lori Palatnik, her cousin,
That's crazy.
her husband. It's still going to be.
Ellie, we can't hear what's going on.
Oh, so, okay, those were the, that's not. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Okay, that was Julie giving the announcement. So if you, okay, all right, so to everybody on Zoom and everybody out of Zoom, does anyone have thoughts or insights from what we just talked about? Okay, we have Dell and Phyllis, yeah,
This is an.
and I'm gonna keep an eye on
this
you
is a
guys, but
question.
just make sure I know, yeah.
Thank you for this amazing class. That's number one. Number two.
Wait, Dell, 1 second, can you hear? You probably can't hear. Okay, so Dell's gonna speak and then I'm gonna, should I turn it around? No, I'll just tell you what she is at, what she says, okay. No. And I'm not going to.
Like the name of that book.
It's a wonderful book. She's asking for the book about the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Positivity Bias by Mendel Kelmanson. Is that right? It's a wonderful book. Oh, your phone just fell out, Del. Positivity Bias. Oh, it's a very, very special book. Well, Phyllis, you want to say something?
Well, I just wanted to say that even Moses didn't get to the promised land. Well, that's in line with, he tried and he tried and he did everything humanly possible. And so what we would often think of as a reward would be to get there and to pass into the promised land.
Right, Phyllis is using the incredibly illustrative story of Moses, who nobody tried harder than him, and he didn't get his sprite, meaning he did not reach the promise. He even stood over it and saw it, the shores of the promised land.
And in that same thing, all Saints Schindler's List, and at the end, Oscar Schindler is saying, I could have done more. I could have done more. Why did I buy that diamond
Well,
ring?
is that not, okay, so, right, is that not the anxiously, like, is this not the anxiety? How do you know? Right, Leslie, Phyllis was saying Oscar Schindler said, I could have done more, I could have done more. Was that what was bothering you? Okay, how do you know when enough is enough? So I don't know if this is the right answer, but one thing is that we have two spheres. We have the sphere of business and, making a living. And then we really do have a proper amount of hishtadlut. Like too much is not better. Too much of a good thing doesn't make it better. A person needs to know when they put in their effort and when to pull back. Judaism does not value workaholism. But I have to say, from the people that I've seen that are totally dedicated to Klal Yisrael, I'm just off the cuff thinking of people like the Lubavitcher Rebbe or Jonathan Sachs or Esther Jungreis or Lori Palatnik in this era, or I think of someone in my neighborhood in Remote. His name is Eli Beer. He's the founder of Hatzalah, the volunteer medical corps. They don't stop, and so they don't stop. So I don't know. I don't know if we could reach those people's. I don't know if we'd even want it. They're all very myopic. Rav Noach Weinberg was myopic. I mean, myopic literally means like he only sees what he sees. He was myopically driven. All the people I mentioned are myopically driven, and that comes with a price tag. Sometimes myopia doesn't lend itself to. I'm not saying about them specifically, but myopia is not always great. Right. Right. So there are the people that cure cancer, seek to cure cancer. Right, right. You can't do it all. You can't do it all. So I don't know if we're all meant to be myopic, but I do think that when it comes to doing good in the world, we need to do more than we think we do. I think that's true. Right, right. Well, let me ask you one question, right? Liz is asking, you live in a world of numbers and test results. How do you have this attitude? Here's a question for you. It's not a rhetorical question. It's a real question. She knows the answer. What's the question? Well, no, a little bit different, which is, to what degree has your mental distress created better results? Right, right, right.
Can you repeat what the response is?
Okay, oh, wait, I'm gonna repeat it. Wait, Stephen's gonna speak, but basically Liz is saying we live in a total results world. It's test scores. It's a certain amount of money you need to make to be able to, we live in a world of, I've got to reach this or I can't do this. So, and do I have that right? So how do you weigh? And Stephen, I mean, I guess I could turn it, but it doesn't really
No, I
make
don't have
sense.
any. Guess the point of the lesson.
And Stephen's saying that's the point of the lesson.
Other words, something really important, and you take away from it, you know. All the time, it's not. How you're looking at it, and, what this brought up for me was the, follow-up, what happened. And ways of processing. And
Paul is talking about the processing
And
of,
that's,
of the
you know,
4th of July.
so I was on. I was consumed. And I could hardly function worrying about how to do it from that. And the bottom of the world.
I mean, she was choosing to use her brain to, this is Paula's friend whose daughter was shot and is okay. But she was, what I'm hearing from you is she was choosing to use her brain in a way that supported her, knowing that she could easily let the gravitational forces of where her brain would go naturally and go into all sorts. I mean, that's really the positivity bias, which is I have this machine between my 2 ears, and I really, what I'm doing is I'm just letting every negative, distressing thought like pull me into its vortex, as opposed to understanding that that was a thought. Now I have to decide to what degree am I going to give it weight and substance and validity. It's not that we don't have the negative thoughts. It's to what degree we understand that our brain is a powerful mechanism that can choose to not allow it just to gravitationally take us in a flow. Yeah, Lord.
You know when enough is enough. Yes, we need this one. Or this one, or this, that, or the other. But maybe Hashem is when enough is enough, when time. Maybe that's
Lori, Lori's saying stress is the barometer of when it's enough.
Break it down. When you're
Like-
trying
Right.
Because it is.
You're saying the outcome,
When enough is enough, and how do you? How does enough is enough? Over exceeded the maximum, and the mental health is deteriorating, if our relationship is deteriorating, if, you know, we're not functioning.
okay, so Lori's point is your results are barometers whether or not you're overextending. If there's anxiety in the family, if there's incredible internal stress, that's think of yourself, this is important, think of yourself like a tuning fork. Your body, your physiology, your circumstances, your feelings are tuning forks. They're there, just like a tuning fork is there to tell you if your thinking is off, right? Like if your thinking is off, you're going to get an anxious stomach, you're going to get clenched, you know, it's almost like God gives us barometers in the form of feelings and physiological symptoms to tell us, oh, I think I'm believing a falsehood here. I think I'm believing something untrue. So, I mean, stress is a barometer of if we're going too far. Yeah.
Is your name Liz? You know, I think it has since you talked, or actually after I heard I was thinking that I think the very first lesson and I think the very first lesson was that we are we are a soul. We have a body. And I think that in the realm of the spiritual, the realm of the material, I think all the stress that you're experiencing is in the material world, and it's crowding out the spiritual. And I think
It's a really
we have to somehow we have to balance those two somehow, not overemphasize or allow ourselves to overemphasize or be overly
I'm going to
guided
just sum it up, Stephen, and then
by
keep going.
the material.
Stephen's making a divide between the physical. We have a body. We are a soul. We see our body. We even question the existence of our soul. It's invisible, like gravity. So gravity is real. Soul is real too, but we don't see it or feel it. So when we put a ton of effort to the point of stress in the material world, we can say we're overdoing it. When we put a lot of effort into our spiritual work, well, I'm adding a little bit to what you're saying, but what sum up what you're saying. Sum it up. Balance. Yeah.
Every day.
We are commanded.
Or, you know, if that.
Yes.
if you live in it, what you know, you say.
Paula's saying
and
she's
you know-
understanding the mitzvah of Limud Torah, that we all have a mitzvah of learning Torah, because learning Torah brings you back into the soul consciousness.
But
Like I was thinking, if you're not in this class and you're going through all of that with your neighbors and your classmates, how are you gonna deal with that? So you can understand what Alan's talking about, the things. So what I mean? No, it doesn't.
Sue's saying it's in this class, we can talk in these terms and work it through in these terms, but then you enter into your reality outside of this classroom. And it's a world people aren't perceptive of, don't necessarily value or not value, they just don't even know it necessarily exists, and that's lonely and hard. Yeah, okay, we have Susie, wait, Susie, Stephen, who?
I was just gonna say,
And Marcy?
if your only rewards are material, then you're gonna feel empty. You know, everybody feels empty.
I don't think everybody is.
Most people.
In this class.
Right.
Yeah, Marcy, Susie, yeah. Right, right. Marcy's taking this Mishnah about child raising, that you're not responsible for the outcome of how the child's going to turn out, which is true. You are responsible for the effort. I remember that. I totally remember that moment. Yes, Susie and Judy.
We just had, the privilege and the blessing of taking our granddaughter to Israel. Overseeing those. So much for him that he did something to me. And of her story, when I studied and that's why I'm sharing it to share the story. And Naomi, you know what you can do for me about his baby?
Susie's comparing the carob tree story to her experience in Israel with her oldest grandchild. Someday you do this with your grandchild. It's like, right, pay it forward. Right. Yeah, Judy. Right.
Or you provide. No. Right, yeah, but we got the pleasure of taking our children.
Right. You got the reward in this world, although the ultimate reward you're not going to know. It's really about internalizing. It's like Amuna. You can have it here. Do you remember Elisa Buello's? Does anyone remember Elisa Buello's incredible 6 stages of Amuna? Absolutely. Do you guys remember that? It's all a little bit like how much it goes in and where we all get stuck. It's such a powerful. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Tomorrow, guys. Oh, right. Tonight is wine, wisdom, women want wisdom and wine, and tomorrow is between you and me. Linda, Adrian, I'm really sorry that you could only hear what you could hear.
This was wonderful. Thank you so very much. I'm zooming in from New York. It's so wonderful
can't
to
hear.
see you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little bit.
How's this?
What?
Wait,
Hi, Adrian. You're in Toronto?
is this better?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm zooming in from New York. I am so sorry to have missed your entire stay. Will any of the
Linda,
other,
I can't really hear you. Will you, maybe we can talk. Can we talk later? Because I can't really hear it.
I'll chat. Let me send in a chat.
Okay, let's talk later because I can't really hear you. Okay. Leave me a message and then, okay. You're in New York, or call or leave a voicemail. WhatsApp. Or email. Oh, we miss you, Adrian. Zooming into other events. Any chance of zooming in? Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that there's gonna be Zoom. For tonight, probably? Not sure. Oh, okay, yes, I think that'll be on Zoom.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. All right, love you both. Yeah, okay, I'll let you know about Zoom sign up. I'll ask Julie about Zoom sign up.
Thank you so much.
I'll ask Julie about Zoom sign up. Bye, guys.